Hey guys, welcome back to Midnight Double Feature. This is a special one tonight. Tonight, you're probably not listening to it at night time, but so this is our first three-way ever. Uh, I've got Colin on the other line. Say, hey, how you going, Colin?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
And for the first time ever, Colin and Matthew are meeting. Well, not meeting, but you know what I mean. Say hi, Matt.
G'day, nice to meet you, Colin.
Nice to meet you too, bud.
Today we'll be talking about Avengers: Infinity War. Holy fucking shit! This movie's a thing. Um, just let me at the top of the episode here. Let me just let you know. Let me put your mind at ease. We're not gonna talk the entire thing as spoilers. We're gonna talk about the first the first section of the podcast will sort of involve no spoilers. And I'll definitely put it in the timestamp at the bottom. Where we'll start talking about it. So you'll definitely be notified in time, like way ahead, that we're about to get into spoilers. So you got nothing to worry about. But yeah, look. Guys, let's fucking get into it. Infinity War, Colin. I want you to go first again. Wait, actually, before you know what, Matthew, I'm going to take you to task. I'm going to take you. So, guys, this isn't our first fucking time recording this episode. We had a 2 hour episode locked and loaded, ready to go. Matthew's fucking sound fucked up. I'm taking you to task, bitch.
Actually, it was a great episode. It was fun. Unfortunately, some weird audio effect happened to mine. I took it to two different sound engineers that I personally know and be like, can you fix this? Both of them said it's impossible. One did think it was cool, though, to take my audio track and put it over a beat, so it sounded like some weird remix. But yeah, it was just unlistenable. It was just way too distorted and it was stuttery. So apologies for that, guys, but I know you like talking about this just as much as me, so I'm back.
No, all good, man. All right, look, Colin, give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on Avengers: Infinity War.
So I'm super excited to talk about this. I'm super excited to have all three of us on. And I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. I'm not usually one to give into the hype with a lot of movies. I haven't seen a lot of Marvel movies. I haven't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming, any of the Guardians of the Galaxy, any of the Thor movies.
That still baffles the hell out of me, by the way.
Yeah, right. Because I actually I've seen the Captain America trilogy. I've seen Iron Man. I've seen like all the Avengers movies, but like I don't know. Just some of them I just didn't have an inkling to go see. And I thought this movie was great. I thought they did a good job especially with how big the character roster was. It's one thing to see what can be done when you have, Iron Man and Thor, Captain America, and just the basic 6 or 7 Avengers. But when you start adding in all these different, then you've got Doctor Strange, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy come in. There's just so much going on. And it's just impressive to hear, the Russo brothers really just came from television. I was amazed that that these guys have not done something like this big before. I was kind of shocked because honestly, I thought they kind of juggled it better than Joss Whedon probably would have juggled it. I thought they just did fantastic. Everything seemed, some characters kind of get, more screen time than other ones, but that's okay. It's a lot of characters that we're used to seeing, that we've seen their stories played out. So it kind of gives an opportunity for some other characters to get time in, which I thought was really cool. But all in all, yeah, just the way that they handle, just 22 different characters. That's so impressive. And I didn't ever feel like I was hanging on one group of people for too long. Then we'd move on to another group. It was just this constant rotating musical chairs of which group we were moving to, and I kind of like that. And yeah, all in all, I like this a lot. I think it's, and of course, let's talk about the opening weekend real quick.
I was going to get to that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much my opening thoughts. I liked it a lot. I'm really looking forward to, because I'm gonna go ahead and just set my cards down now before I show my whole hand and spoil this movie for anybody who doesn't want it spoiled. But yeah, you were about to. What's the opening weekend?
Uh, fucking. It now stands as the highest grossing movie in the first weekend ever in the United States, which is where it counts, right? Um,
It hasn't
yeah,
even
so
opened in China yet, as well.
hasn't opened in China. Um, a record-breaking 258.2 million in North America, and 382.7 million overseas, for a combined total of 640.9 million in its first weekend alone.
Jesus Christ.
Um, that is a fucking juggernaut if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It
Yeah, but yeah, like Matt says, it hasn't opened in the second biggest market at all, which is China. So that's going to be fucking massive too.
Hmm.
hmm
So,
um,
my general thoughts. Also loved it. I think it really is a masterpiece. Oh, I don't know if masterpiece is the right words, but it is a massive achievement and a testament to what Marvel has been doing after all these years. I love that they made this promise to us many, many years ago, and in most aspects, it lived up to what they promised. I do have a few nitpicks, but I have a feeling that most of them will be addressed in Avengers 4, because it's kind of like a two-parter, even though they're not calling it that. Um, I think they did a great job of juggling the characters they had to juggle. It did, like, they clearly know their strengths. They know they've got a great cast and who has good charisma and chemistry with who, and all these new pairings were like really interesting. But the biggest strength of this film is the heart. Like, it has so much heart and emotional moments, and you may hear, oh, there's an emotional moment in it, but like, you think you've seen it, and then there's another one, and it's been out less than a week now, and I've seen it 3 times already, and I've never done that before. So I think it's great. I think it's some of the best acting I've seen from some of these actors. Definitely the best I've seen Chris Pratt do in particular. Um, Thanos is an amazing villain, and Josh Brolin. Am I saying that right? Is it Brolin?
Brolin.
Brolin, yeah. Josh Brolin did a fucking great job, man. And hats off to the Russo brothers for just doing something so ambitious and pulling it off. And also, first film ever shot entirely on IMAX. Looks beautiful. I can't wait to talk even more about this, but overall, just gobsmacked at how it could be so funny, so entertaining, so emotional, and well balanced at the same time. Like, it's I haven't seen a film have to juggle so many things and pull it off so well, I think, in forever. So yeah. Zoe, what's your Z-Man? What's your general thoughts?
I love how it's so, I can totally tell it's so difficult to you, like, to talk about this movie like in a non-spoilery way. Like, you're just like really hard trying to keep like a lid on it, and it's so fucking good.
Right.
But
Everyone
look,
listening will realize what you're talking about later when they see how excited I get over certain plot points and characters. But right now I'm like, yeah, so I really like the thing where they do I think they did it good. Movie good,
yeah,
things
yeah.
good.
No, it's good, man. But
You
look,
get censored me.
absolutely. Look, I think this movie is fucking incredible. I think out of all three of us, I think I might be the highest on it. Matt, you said this was an achievement, and I wholeheartedly agree, man. This is a cinematic achievement for a studio, for a company. All these actors, all the crew, everything, like, it just all culminates into this one massive film, and it all comes together so beautifully. It's so fucking balanced. Like, I don't even know what aspect to start, man. Like, Matt, you talked about Josh Brolin. When we move to spoiler territory, he's the first thing I'd love to talk about, man, because like his Thanos is absolutely incredible. But yeah, this is a promise 10 years ago that Marvel made. They're like, we will deliver this movie to you. We'll eventually. They didn't say this, but like, they're just like, you can tell like that they were building to something from day one, right? Um, and yeah, the stakes are real in this movie. Like, Marvel like people seem to have an issue with Marvel just being like, oh, they don't kill any of their characters, like, and they never stay dead and things like that. Well, there's a bit of that in this, and like, it all leads somewhere. Everything's got weight. Everything's got the humor is fucking fantastic. Like the villain is fantastic. The Russo brothers are just like if they showed it in Civil War how good they were at balancing these characters and balancing such a massive roster, and I'm so glad that like because Age of Ultron was good. It was a good movie. It wasn't terrible, but you could see Joss Whedon coming. Like he expressed that he didn't have the greatest time with that movie, and you could kind of see it on the film, right?
Well, the problem with Ultron is it was basically a giant commercial for this movie in a way. There was a lot of stuff setting up multiple films in the future, and that I don't blame Joss for that. Clearly, he had a lot of pressure from Marvel. He's been very open about how he fought for those scenes with Hawkeye because he really wanted to do that character justice because he felt like that character got the short end of the stick previously. But I think also like the script as well. Like this script for this film did such a great job of balancing them better.
Yeah, it definitely had an Iron Man 2 problem where it had to set up a lot of things for the future. And I don't think that's the right way to go with your solo movies and and movies in general in your universe. You should focus on the story at hand and like here and there like build things. And I think Marvel have like since then they've just absolutely mastered that craft.
They've really learned and they've come a long way, which is crazy to say
sure.
Because Marvel like it's crazy to think even them they're still improving and getting better when it feels like they've got this down to a T at sometimes.
And they've basically trained. Sorry, Colin. I'll be quick. They've basically trained. They've basically trained an entire generation of audience to sit through the credits and wait for credits. Like,
They have.
That's just it's so fucking good. Anyway, what were you gonna say, Colin?
Oh no, I was just going to say about focusing on the content at hand and not worrying about establishing your connected universe. I think Batman vs Superman is a prime example of that. We see a movie that is
boy
because I am a huge Dark Knight Returns fan. I think that there still needs to be a proper it's insane that the movie's called Batman vs Superman and it's a 15-minute fight in a 2.5-hour long movie. And I think that's such a crime anyways, but also, I mean, the movie has problems plot-wise, but strictly talking
Colin,
about...
you're overlooking the many layers that come into that movie, man.
layers.
Yeah, man, they spent a whole film setting it up. Marvel. Meanwhile, we've done like 200 films to set this up.
Right?
DC, no, we don't need that.
I think that Batman vs Superman tries way too hard to be a sequel to Man of Steel and a prequel to Justice League, and they forget the fact that these are your two best characters in the DC universe, or your two biggest cash cows. And
we could do a whole other podcast on that, I assure you.
Right?
And
yeah,
we will.
You're right, but that's the first thing it made me think of is just the fact that they were obviously been setting up these universes without compromising their plots and their stories and the love that we have for these characters and their character arcs. That really speaks to something because on the other hand, we're seeing Warner Brothers and the DC universe flap around like a fish on a dock. It's like they just don't know what to do. Wonder Woman was definitely good. I went and saw it, but it's definitely interesting to see. Marvel kicking their ass at this point in the game, especially with Justice League and this coming out so close together. I know Justice League's already out on DVD, but I mean, even within the same kind of like year and a half of each other, you get a good feel of like who's standing where in terms of better films. But yeah, I wish that DC could take a page from Marvel on this because they could really do some good shit with their characters. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say.
For sure.
One more thing, I just want to quickly go back on something I said and add something to it. I mentioned that in this film, I love the performances of Chris Pratt, especially, and I really loved Josh Brolin. But I also want to give shout-outs to, because not enough people talking about, but I think Elizabeth Olsen was fucking incredible in this film. Her character, great, Scarlet Witch, teamed up with Vision. I never thought they were going to give those characters the time they needed. Because we've seen them in previous films, but they've always had such small parts to play, and we knew Vision would have a big role in this film, but a lot of speculation was maybe he dies early on or something like that, without getting the spoilers. Relationship between these two characters, and Elizabeth Olsen in a few scenes. There's so many great things about this film. Some of the other great stuff doesn't get mentioned sometimes. I'm going to wait for the spoilers section.
Yeah, for sure. But look, going back to my thoughts, you bunch of fucks.
Yeah. So let's talk about DC again.
Anyway, Zoheb. So, Matt, what did you think about?
Going back to my thoughts on this movie, man. Like, I just when I think of the word crowd pleaser, I absolutely think of this movie now. I've also seen this movie 3 times now, Matt, and like, holy shit! Like, every time I see it, everyone just fucking cheers. And there are just like gasps, like audible gasps, and it's just so good watching this in a packed cinema, you know. Like, and usually I don't like watching movies in a packed cinema. But yeah, for sure, man. Definitely check this out, guys. This is event filmmaking at its finest. I think, to me, this is like what Star Wars must have felt like back in the day, back in the 80s, when Empire Strikes Back came out, when New Hope came out, Return of the Jedi. I mean, you can argue that we've still got Star Wars today, and it's still event filmmaking, but I feel like Marvel are just on a whole new, different plane now. Especially since, they've taken the torch from Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very fair comparison. Marvel, in a way, is the new Star Wars.
Yeah, I'd say so. Look, but unless you guys have anything else to get into that's non-spoilery, we might jump into our spoiler section.
Yeah, please. I'm so ready to blow the load already.
All right, guys.
Don't fight for one life. We fight for all.
What do you got for me, Matt? I know you're dying.
How fucking good is it, man?
Absolutely. Let me give you a topic first.
Where the fuck do we start?
We're gonna start with Thanos.
The intro?
I need
Holy
to start
shit,
with Thanos.
the first scene?
No, we're not doing scene by scene because we just don't have it, man. I don't have it. I can't take it through scene by scene, even though I've seen it 3 times. I just can't. So just talking in generalities, but still like boiling down in spoilers. Talk to me about Thanos.
Woo! It is okay. Marvel are clearly learning. Like they did a great villain with Killmonger in Black Panther. And Loki's always been great, but besides that, in the films, while TV's and Netflix have had some success, we all know that Marvel's had a quote-unquote villain problem. But not in this fucking movie, dude. Thanos is he's a G. But he's like, they did, like they were saying leading into it, they wanted him to be like the Darth Vader of this generation. And I think they're, in many cases, you could argue they were successful. Not only is he like intimidating and scary and so powerful and cool, but in addition to that, he's relatable. His motivations are understandable to a certain degree, and it's really commendable how they've done it. And the CGI on him is fucking great. I would say the second time I saw it, or was my third time? Whatever. One of the times I saw it, I was with a mate of mine who's a dad, and one of the biggest themes in this film is his relationship with Gamora as a father-daughter. And there are a few scenes before the big fucking scene happened where my mate goes to me, he's like, you know what, Thanos, he's a good dad. And I was just thinking, whoa, you ain't ready, bro. You ain't ready for this. But, yeah, right. like he is relatable. And, like, when there's that scene where...
How many times have child services been called on this guy?
Right. Like, in that scene where, like, she's like, I always hated that chair. And he's, like, his whole attitude's like, oh, my kid does understand that. Of course she's acting this way, like a brat. Like, it's such a almost relatable, like, parent situation, which is what I liked. But then when he kills her, they're not afraid to make their villain cry. How many franchises do that, man? Like, we saw him cry, and he was still a scary villain.
He's a bitch.
It's you know what's funny? Kylo Ren does it, and the internet calls him emo and stuff. Thanos does it here, and he's still a fucking gangster. And I don't know. I think it just goes to
totally
show
agree.
great writing and accompanied with good acting and directing. It's a combination of just good shit, you know. What do you guys reckon?
Colin, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. I feel like Thanos. I think he definitely feels like the because again I haven't checked out every single Marvel movie, but the ones that I've seen, I'm actually a big fan of. I don't love Age of Ultron, but I love Ultron. I love James Spader as Ultron. I think I just because I'm a huge James Spader fan, and I just love his whole attitude about it and in his voice work. It's just fantastic.
Oh, dude, he's great in that. I love at the end when he's like, "Thor, you're annoying me."
Yeah, right. And I love the whole I've got no strings on me kind of thing. It's so good.
It's so good.
But besides Ultron, really Thanos really is the one that sticks out to me, because he feels larger than life when he shows up, and it's just he's not only is he a larger presence, obviously physically, but just the whole atmosphere changes when he shows up. Everything feels very like. I don't know. He feels like a general walking onto the battlefield every scene. Like he's there to do it.
Oh,
he's there,
yeah, for sure.
He's there to serve a purpose. He's not there to throw a couple of quick one-liners and be witty. He's like no, like he feels like a speeding train. Just like there's no way, and that's what really gets really raises the stakes about this movie is the fact that Thanos is just unquenchable and he is unstoppable, and he's like the whole thing. It's just every time he gets one more stone, your butthole just puckers up just a little bit more. You're like, oh god, because he's getting closer and closer and closer, and especially when he starts. I mean, right off the bat with the death of Loki. Holy shit! Way to end. A Marvel character's career.
Loki and Heimdall.
Yeah, right. Because in Thor, wasn't that Idris Elba?
It was Idris Elba in this as well.
Is it? Okay, because I heard that he had a really bad experience, like Hugo Weaving, and didn't want to come back.
I didn't say that at all.
Oh, okay.
No, that's definitely him, yeah.
Okay, cool. I wondered. I didn't know if they just got somebody who looked exactly like him. But yeah, I really, really like Thanos a lot. And like I said, not only is he a physical presence, I mean, the guy's just, the size of the gauntlet, when we see Spider-Man trying to pull it off, Spider-Man looks tiny next to that gauntlet. It just looks so big, and you feel the weight of his
Heard
blows
that before.
when he, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna chime in there. Sorry. About how he was talking about Spider-Man with the glove and stuff. What I think was like really great writing in this film is that while Thanos is so big and powerful and scary and intimidating, they give you enough hope that they can beat him. When there's a scene, there's a quick line. I think it's Iron Man who says it's like, don't let him close his glove, like don't let him close his fist, because they realize that's how he operates.
Doctor Strange.
Like that's so fucking like I love that, and throughout it, it's like they're like, look, as long as we stop him from getting the stones and all these little things, it's not doom and gloom all the way. Like that, you feel like they have a chance, and that's what makes your heroes feel like heroic at times. And so I kind of like that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Like they set this up. They like literally they make him feel like a god.
Totally.
Like he's so unstoppable. Like he's literally just walking through them and carving them up. And like I want to sort of go back to that first scene that you mentioned, Colin, because that first scene is so integral to his character. That fight scene with the Hulk, the way he moves and the way he just beats Hulk's ass. Holy fucking
We've never
shit.
seen a fight scene like that, I think, in any Marvel film. It's like two CGI characters, almost like MMA, and sort of like that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Like it was realistic, but yeah.
it was awesome, dude. I love the way Thanos moves, man, and I love the music in that scene too. It's like dun, 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 dun. It's such a good like this. The score in this movie is like really understated. Alan Silvestri did a hell of a job with the score.
And building into that fight, the like this film does such a great job of fan service with callbacks and stuff, and Loki's line where he's like, "Well, first of all, I'm not Asgardian."
Oh yeah.
And for another, we have a Hulk. It's like, oh shit! Like in
so
the first Avengers, where like he's talking to Iron Man, it's like, we have a Hulk. It's like, oh shit! And then Hulk comes out, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, dude, when I first saw that, I like jump. I had to stop myself from jumping out of my seat. And this next two times I saw it, I still felt the same way because that scene is just so fucking cool.
I saw it with you the first time, Matt, and I thought there was like an earthquake in our fucking row because I thought you were gonna like just spontaneously combust.
Oh my god, I love it so goddamn much. Holy shit,
it was so good.
If you just had that on a loop for like the rest of eternity, I'd be happy. And there's so many scenes and points in this film where I feel the same way. Like, you know what? I won't get too far ahead. Let's stick to this scene because there's so much to unpack in this scene alone. Like, how much of a great opening is it? Which, by the way, small voice cameo. I only heard this the other day.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yes,
I'm stealing it from you.
Yes, I only found out like yesterday. So like that's kind of cool. But like,
so it's for those that don't know, Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor movie, and that's actually his voice opening the Marvel like during the Marvel title sequence, where it's like
we are not a battleship.
This is a Wakandan refugee ship. Like he talks.
Asgardian
it's the Mayday. It's Asgardian. What the fuck?
I got you back.
But it's just basically a Mayday call, and it's Kenneth Branagh apparently. So
it's such a great way to set it up because when you think of powerful Marvel characters, Thor is one of the strongest, and we literally open on half his race destroyed or killed or whatever. Thor like suffering, and while they kill Loki, a fan favorite, after so many years and stuff, but they let him, they close his arc really nicely. They give him like a heroic death, and they give you that sense of hopelessness, and that is such a great way to introduce the stakes and what's going on in this film. And it's just so fucking great, and it's also a testament to that scene. I don't know about you guys, but when Loki was like kill away and he starts like torturing Thor, I'm like, oh shit, are they going to kill Thor in the first 30 seconds of this film? And I actually believed it. And this film does a great way of you actually thinking characters are going to die. Like later on, when Iron Man gets stabbed, you are for sure, I don't know about you guys, but for sure I'm like, oh fuck, this is how it happens. RDJ leaves the Marvel universe. He's going to die. So it's such great, like the way they do that, man. It's so good.
Yeah. Dude, let me just touch on the CG real quick with Thanos, man. Holy fucking shit. They made him look so good. I love the way they've characterized him, like all of his battle scars on his face, and that nutsack of a chin. Yeah. he looks so intimidating with those scars, man. I love the hell out of it. Like it looks like this guy's been through some shit. Like we see that flashback sequence with Gamora, and like he's been through war. He's a warrior. And I love that you can just see the battle damage on him. It's just, it's fucking beautiful. He's just such a great villain, dude. Like he's definitely up there, and like this is a big call. He's definitely up there as the Joker as one of my favorite villains of all time now. Like he's just so, like we haven't even seen his conclusion yet. Like, but I love that he wins in this movie. He just tears his ass across the galaxy, and like he's all content at the end, man. And I love that the final shot is him just sitting there smiling. And if you stayed after the credits, it doesn't say the Avengers will return, it says Thanos will return, which is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, so ominous. Yeah,
there's a thing in script writing where they talk about the hero's journey, and what's interesting is I've noticed this, that applies to Thanos in this film. He follows all the same stages you would a hero, and many heroes in this film do the same. But like for example, a big plot point would be usually near the middle or towards mid towards the end of the film. You'll have your character achieve what they've been trying to do, but like there's usually a big price to pay, and that's the scene where he has to kill Gamora. And like I'm looking at this like fuck, like they're treating him like a full on character. It's so rare for a villain like that to be treated that way.
The Russos said before this movie came out that they wanted this to be kind of like a biographical take on Thanos, and that's why like we kind of get his insights into things more than any other Avenger, single Avenger. So like it was a really interesting way to do it, to be honest.
Yeah. That being said, you mentioned CG, the CG, and I know Colin agrees with me here, and I think you're gonna disagree, but the CG wasn't all perfect. Well, it was great on Thanos. I would say, is Proxima Midnight the female Black Order member?
Yeah,
she
Proxima
looked
Midnight. Yeah.
pretty shitty to me, especially in the face. I don't know what was going on, if they cheapened out with her or what was going on. And I feel like some of the other Black Order members weren't of the same standard. Clearly, Thanos was a priority they took, but it wasn't all perfect. I felt.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. The CGI on the Black Order guys wasn't that great. But look, at that point I don't really give a shit. I mean, like Proxima Midnight, to me, she didn't look that bad. Oh, by the way, she's voiced by Carrie Coon, who is from The Leftovers and Fargo. She's getting up there now as well. She's pretty cool. But for me, it was Corvus Glaive, the other guy, the guy that she was with. I couldn't deal with him, man. Like, especially when he gets stabbed by, I think, fuck, what's her name? Black Widow in the train station.
Oh yeah.
And like I just like wow, he doesn't really hold up. But like I said, when I'm along for the ride, I don't give a shit about the CGI.
Oh,
like,
I'm working hard here to find flaws. Like I'm working tooth and nail to find these issues.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. But that being said, I think the Black Order for me was probably the weakest part of the film. Even Ebony Maw, like he was just so. It was more. It's not the CGI with him. It was more the characterization. Just the way they made him talk and shit like that. That's probably how he talks in the comic books. But he was a bit like, cheesy. So this is the telekinetic guy, by the way. If you don't know the names,
he was clearly my favorite out of all of them.
Oh,
but he was the only one that had a personality, though. Yeah. So,
but like if you watch it again, there is like that sequence when they're fighting in New York, which is pretty awesome, by the way. Yeah, there's a moment where Ebony Maw like kind of lifts his hands and like lifts the bricks from the streets and like he sharpens them, and then like he like throws them at Doctor Strange. He does a portal, and then they come out of Wong's portal, and Ebony Maw to block that, he like holds up like a car, and like one of the pieces of shrapnel hits him and he makes a noise. He's like, ow. Yeah. And then like it's like they use that same exact ow audio sample later, like literally like 5 seconds later, when he tries to grab the time stone from thing. He's literally like ow, and it's like the same. It's literally the same yell, like in the same tone, the same thing, the same volume. And I'm just like, what the hell, guys? You couldn't record another ow?
I didn't like, pick that up personally.
That's so nitpicky. That's only shit that you pick up when you've seen the movie 3 times.
But that's
in like
how
4
good
days,
this film is. That's how good. Like for us to come up with criticisms, we're gonna get to the super nitty gritty. Like we gotta go Ant-Man subatomic level. Speaking of Ant-Man, where the fuck was he?
You know what? I don't fucking care. Okay, you know what? That can probably get answered in Ant-Man and the Wasp, which got a fucking cool spanking new trailer today.
Yeah, right. But I want to bring that up though, like because my biggest criticism of this film, and it's maybe it's not a fair criticism, but I feel like it's a big elephant in the room that needs to be addressed.
I don't care.
Oh, fuck you, I'm going to say it anyways. And I'm sure most Marvel fans out there would agree with me. When you see an Avengers film, you're hoping it builds to this big glory shot of everyone together. And this film is advertised as it's bringing a whole universe together. And it's kind of not doing that. Because one, we don't see Iron Man with the Avengers. The Avengers never fully assemble. Ant-Man and Hawkeye are missing in action. They're not in the film at all. They just get a passing comment, which I'm still grateful we got to hear something. But I feel like this film... And the big assembled shot we saw in the trailer, which had most of them together, wasn't even in the film. It was a shot for marketing. The closest thing we get to it is the amazing moment of when Rocket, Groot, and Thor land, which was pretty cool, and it get a big applause. But... I feel like that needs to be addressed. Like the Avengers didn't assemble in this film, and I hopefully they get to that in number 4. But yeah, that really disappointed me.
Colin, before I go into a rant about this, do you want to talk about it first?
Well, I mean, I think it's just kind of the same thing that I said before. Of it's not really. I think it would feel very odd having that moment in this movie when this is like the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel movies so far. Is that there isn't really a moment where everybody like like everybody's everybody groups up together and we're gonna beat the bad guy. We kind of get that. Like you said, when Thor shows up, that's a really great moment because they've just been disconnected. But I think it would feel really odd to have that scene in this movie strictly because, I mean, they don't win. Like that, having that moment would feel like such a false climax, I think, because or such a false, like, revving up to the climax because we would expect them to then go in and have that, moment like in Ultron when they start just kicking ass, we do that 360 rotating shot because right after that, the movie kind of is over. They kick ass and they go home, but it feels very, it would feel very odd, I think, to have it in this movie because that moment never really happens. Like at best, they are slowing him down. And that's really it. I think that's the worst thing about it is that there's just no way of stopping this guy. So I think, there is a way of stopping him, but he just seems like, just like I said, just like a bulldozer going through buildings. And it's so even with all of them. Attacking him on 2 different fronts on Wakanda and Titan, they still can't beat him, and it's like, God damn, man. So I think that having that moment would kind of betray the movie a little bit, strictly because we wouldn't be going anywhere with that scene afterwards. But it is a staple of the movies, and I think that maybe the lack of it in this one will make up for it and be such a better one in Avengers 4.
That's what I'm hoping for personally. But,
mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Say what you got to say.
On to your rant, sir.
Whatever it is, fuck you, I hate it. But say it anyways.
The destiny arrives, fellas. But no, I don't care about a shot. I just don't care. Like, give me a good movie. Give me a moment. Like, give me my moments, and, like, that's what we got in this movie. Like, I don't need specific moments. Just, like, surprise me, wow me. Like, I'm not going into a movie thinking, like, oh, shit, I hope they have this shot. If they don't, I'm going to be slightly disappointed. Like, I don't care. Like, we got shots like that in Avengers Age of Ultron. We got shots like that in Avengers. Like, I mean, okay, I know you want it in the big one, but, like Colin said, it'll probably be in Avengers 4. And, by the way, that shot in that trailer that wasn't used, I don't think it was for marketing purposes. I think it was just cut out for reshoots. So, like, I know Hulk is in that scene and he doesn't appear in Wakanda anywhere, but there are actually, like, reports coming out now that, like, Hulk was actually supposed to bust out of the Hulkbuster suit. I think there was, like, an actual, like, Funko Pop, like one of those pop vinyls, and it was literally like the Hulkbuster suit, like, kind of like crushed all around the Hulk, and he's like coming out of it.
That does make sense because I saw there was another toy. It wasn't a Funko Pop, but it was something else of Hulk coming out. And there's a shot in the trailer where Mark Ruffalo, like in human form, is standing next to the ripped off Iron Man Hulkbuster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which makes me wonder why they took it out. Like, I'm sure that answer may be revealed in number 4.
Exactly. I think the Russos had a better moment in Avengers 4, and look, I'm excited to see it, man. Like, if they had a better moment, because like whatever the Russo brothers make a decision, if they make a decision, then I'm on board, because they've built up enough trust for me to trust them, like, with decisions like this. So, yeah, I'm totally on board for, like, how they've changed it out and things like that. So I can't wait to see how the Hulk gets resolved and things like that.
I don't want to get too off topic, but same thing happened in Age of Ultron. Originally, Hulk was meant to be grey. They actually had marketing promotional shit ready to go, including a toy, and they had to still take it back because late in post-production, Joss Whedon was like, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was Marvel, but they thought grey might confuse, because when Hulk turns bad, he was going to turn grey, but then they changed it back to green, and then they had to redo a whole bunch of marketing materials, apparently.
Yeah, right. I think they just did his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. But back to this film.
Back to the fucking film at hand. But look, yeah, guys,
Let's.
what's our next point of topic?
I
Shall we
think we
talk about
should.
some?
Oh, sorry. Go on, Colin.
Oh
No,
no.
that was me.
Well,
Oh,
then you go. I'm sorry. Go on, Zoheb.
Oh no, I've got nothing to talk
well,
about.
I
Fuck me.
think one of the biggest things we haven't spoken about yet is Gamora. In both the scene with the big cameo and also her relationship with Star Lord.
Yeah, just before we start off, I want to kind of get Colin's thoughts on this. Like, because you haven't seen either of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I'd like to like kind of get your opinions on how the Guardians were portrayed in this, and especially Gamora, like how you felt about that.
Yeah, totally. I even not seeing Guardians of the Galaxy, this felt like, and I think I said this before. This felt like a family in a station wagon going on a road trip. Like as soon as the camera pulls up, and they're listening.
Such a good analogy.
No, yeah, thank you. But yeah, they're listening to I can't remember what song it is.
Oh man.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, they're listening to that song, and you got Groot in the back playing that game, and I am Groot. Whoa, language, and like
The acorns on you.
right, yeah, it feels like a family on a road trip. Just as soon as that song came on, I was like, this feels, it feels like a bunch of short films. This whole thing put together because it stays true to Guardians, it stays true to the Avengers, and it still stays true for Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Like the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. Each one of these people can make blockbusters on their own. We don't need to start cramming them together and trying to get them to fit each other's style just to make a really good movie. They're let them be themselves, and the movie will come naturally. These characters will come naturally to these people who have played them for years now, and some of them not, but still. But I think that the Guardians do a great job because right off the bat, you get kind of what's going on with, like, I understand what Rocket Raccoon's dynamic is, and Drax and Groot and Gamora, and Mantis. Like, I definitely, they're all very unique individuals, and I definitely pick up on their kind of relationships and like the whole group dynamic. Especially with Drax, he's so fucking funny. I'm moving so slow that I am invisible, and he's sitting there eating the chips, and
Oh my god.
that's
He's
so
the
fucking
funniest
funny.
guy in this film. That why is Gamora like that line?
Oh, so good.
Every time
Oh,
I've seen
yeah.
the entire theater in stitches.
I love how he
Absolutely.
just yawns. He just yawns at like fucking Iron Man's plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I love. I thought I thought they came across really well, and especially with the relationship between Star Lord and Gamora. I could pick up on that right away. As somebody who is, I guess I'm probably the most objective here when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy because I haven't seen it. So walking in, this is really like the first thing that I'd seen, and I was immediately like, okay, these guys are cool, and they feel like a very tough love kind of group, and I thought it all came across that way really well. Very, just kind of fly by the seat of your pants, super 70s kind of feeling group. They feel like they're a family in a station wagon in the 70s through the Midwest. It sounds like that's the feeling that I got.
It's so good. I love that you got that feeling because that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, I
Right,
agree.
that's exactly what it felt like. It was right off the bat. It felt like, especially with Groot in the back playing the game, and just their humor. The way they cut up with each other and they break each other's balls, was really cool.
Yeah, honestly, Fast and the Furious wishes it could get the dynamic of family that Guardians of the Galaxy can get. And
Yeah, right.
Family.
yeah, like for me, like they say family a lot, but like this Guardians have always felt like a real family.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a dysfunctional one, but they're totally there. And the love and like what I love with this film is I've seen people very divided on how to feel about Star Lord because he is the reason in a way they lose. But and some people are like, "Oh, Star Lord's an idiot. Why would you hit him?" And after like Mantis had him under and everything. But for me, and I think what the film wants you to feel is like he is so emotional and caught up with the loss of her, and that scene just so fucking great. Those two scenes where he finds out that she's dead, and when he has to almost kill her, and it turns to bubbles, and what comes off as a laugh, you also feel how hopeless it is. It's so fucking great. So I love
Yeah, I
both
think-
those scenes.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I think with the, I think with, the whole thing with Star-Lord, because I definitely had a problem with that. Me and Lindsay both in the theater looked at each other and were like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? But at the same time, you can't really gauge how you're going to react to that situation. If I found out 5 minutes ago that somebody killed my girlfriend, and then I have to sit there while a bunch of people hold him down, like, yeah, that's a great time to walk up and kick him right in the nuts or punch him in the face. Like, it's, but I feel like, in the back of my head, I would be like, I would go to hit him, and then I'd be like, just no, wait till I get that gauntlet. Just let me get that gauntlet real quick. Like, let me really have some fun with him.
I'd like to, like, also with that dude, with that man, like, I do want to, like, bring up as well, like, this guy's got nothing. It's important to know that Star-Lord has no one. He hasn't loved anyone. He hasn't been loved. I mean, he saw his mother die. He found out that his dad killed his mother. He had to kill his dad. Like, holy fucking shit. Like, his whole entire life since he's been abducted was incredible. Like, he saw Yondu die, who's like his best fucking friend / his father. So I think when he realized, like, holy shit, the person that I actually kind of love is now gone. Like, it's really tough. It was really probably tough for him to keep that all in check, and it really did play with his character. I think it was really good. I thought.
I don't want to get too deep into it and speculate, but based on everything you say, like how he's always sort of like almost jealous of Thor. Well, maybe it's because like the team looks at Thor the way that he wished they'd look at him. It's like, oh, he's so muscular. That's a man. He's like a good leader or whatever. Like, that's what he wants the team to think of him. But I don't want to get too deep and psychological into it.
I don't think you are. Because there is a moment when Thor goes into the pod with Groot and Rocket, and like Star-Lord's he's giving him just like looks, and like it's just like the camera just lingers on him, and like you can kind of tell he's a little bit jealous. And like I liked that out of that dynamic, man. Like it was really good.
Yeah. Like, the whole film's great with stuff like that. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, especially when Star-Lord like starts talking like Thor, drops his voice, and they're like, "Are you lowering your voice?" And like that humor is so good, and you can tell. And especially when they started admiring him.
This is my voice.
Yeah, I love they started admiring him. Like Drax is like he's like a pirate angel. Yeah, that's so good. Even Drax is like he's beautiful. Immediately. But yeah, I thought I totally see. I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down. I can totally see that because, this is my ship. I'm the captain. And he's like, okay, when I say you go left, and people they just walk right past him. They just ignore him basically. And I think that he does. I think that definitely rings true that he wants that leadership role, but they just don't take him seriously. They do take him seriously, but not in the way that he would hope.
Yeah, I think a similar dynamic would be Iron Man and Doctor Strange. But before we get into that, just when we finish it up with Guardians, I just want to talk about the scene with Gamora and Thanos. There's an amazing cameo. Who else freaked the fuck out when Red Skull was on screen? Holy shit!
Well, I was sitting right next to you, Matt, and like we both freaked out at the same time. Like we were just like,
dude,
what?
I've seen it 3 times in the cinema, and every time the reaction's been so amazing because half the cinema goes, "Oh my god," and the other half is, "Who is that?" Because everyone knows he's important, even the people who don't remember it or haven't seen it. But
it's been 7 years
since
we saw him.
So fucking cool, man. Like, I'm so glad they did that. Like, I was surprised it wasn't Hugo Weaving. You actually shamed me out on that one, Zoe. Who is it again?
Yes. I'm so glad I won one over you. But no.
I was so confident it was him.
He's actually, he's not played by Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving apparently had a terrible time during Captain America. But he's played by The Walking Dead's Ross Marquand, I think. There's actually a little bit of news that's coming out today or right now. Actually, he just kind of did a bit of an interview and like he just sort of like spoke a bit more on it. If you don't mind, Matt, I'll read it out.
Please
just quickly before you. Oh, awesome. Well, Ross pretty much has said the biggest thing that Marvel wanted to do was come as close to the iconic role that Hugo Weaving portrayed 7 years ago and pay homage to it while also giving it a new flavor. Once Red Skull touched the Tesseract, he goes into this intergalactic astral plane for 70 years. And as the Russo brothers pointed out to me, because I was trying to do a straight voice match to Hugo's performance, they said, he's been by himself essentially in this intergalactic prison of his own making for 70 years. He's going to sound a little different. We want him to have this kind of ethereal, almost ghost-like quality to his voice, so please try to get that. And then he goes on to say, I think the reference they might have given is Yoda-esque. His ambition has brought him this great pain, but also this great wisdom, and I think that's what I tried to imbue that performance with. I think the main thing I wanted to get across is that this Red Skull is quite remorseful. He does feel a certain degree of shame and loss, and he's conquered by his own ambition, really. It's very much like Icarus. He flew way too close to the sun, literally because he touched the Tesseract and got launched into space. And there's kind of a forlorn energy to him. It was coming across in the dialogue, and I just really wanted to honor that. And I think he did great. Like
That's
in his
fucking
little
amazing.
minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
In his little minute that he was on screen, like he was fucking great.
Yeah, I
Dude,
think this actor actually. There's a video I think of him. This might be the same guy. I could be wrong. I don't watch Walking Dead, but I think he's the curly-headed character. I like he's one of the ones that they meet in Alexandria. I'm not sure. I don't watch the show.
Yeah, he's in Alexandria. I watch it, and I didn't recognize him on screen, but yeah, that's him.
Yes.
Oh, Matt, you're like one of 8 people that watch that show still.
I don't know. Next season there's a new showrunner. Maybe it's gonna get better. It's one of
always
those
do
shows.
that
I'm like,
shit.
it's gonna get better, right? It's gonna get better.
Go on.
But I love he's got actually a video of him doing these kind of impressions, and nobody should ever doubt this guy's acting ability ever again. He does like Marlon Brando and the Karate Kid. He swaps genre. He just starts swapping these movies over left and right, and he does like Michael Keaton and a bunch of stuff. Like he does so many impressions back to back. He does John C. Reilly in Taxi Driver. And like, hey, I can tell you're looking at me, but he starts doing this incredible impression of him, and I was like, holy fuck!
You
dude.
mean he can start fires with his thoughts?
Yeah,
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, God, I love that. But yeah, if any of you haven't seen that video, please check it out because it was definitely worth the watch, and it definitely put this guy on my radar. So when I heard that, he was that was him in this, I was like, okay, I got to start paying attention to this guy because just strictly watching his impressions and putting like different actors in totally different movies, absolutely crushed it, and it was incredible. So I'm really happy to hear that was him doing the Red Skull because he did a really great job. I didn't know until you told me it wasn't Hugo Weaving, and I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah, that's how I was. I don't know. I just think it's a great example of what Marvel does best, which is that could have had anyone there. That could have just been a random ghost figure, but they took this character from previous film, and if you don't know who it is, that's fine. But if you do know who it is, it gives you a little bit more context. And this, all these Marvel films have done a great job with that. Also, in one scene, we have General Thunderbolt Ross from The Incredible Hulk and Captain America: Civil War as he debriefs Rhodey, who's got the brace from Civil War as well on his leg, which I really liked. But it's like all those little like nods. You get like a scene with some other character from a movie you saw 5 films ago. It really shows that Marvel's done what they promised. They really have this interconnected, interwoven universe, and it's those little things. For me, Red Skull was the most surprising, coolest twist, shocking part for me as a fan, as a Marvel fan. As a moviegoer, maybe it's some other moment like that's emotional or exciting or whatever. But just as a fucking nerd, seeing Red Skull there with Thanos, which like 2 of Marvel's greatest comic book villains right there in the same scene on a film. It was so fucking
It was mind blowing.
Cool for me. Yeah.
It was fucking great. It was so fucking good, dude. Like that whole sequence was just like we haven't even started talking about that fucking sequence in general, right? Like we've just been talking about Red Skull. But yeah, man, like that scene might be the emotional anchor of the movie.
Probably.
Like that's the scene where you realize that Thanos is more than just this big hulking guy who wants to destroy half of the galaxy, right? Half of the universe. Like this guy's got a lot of depth and weight to him emotionally, and it's just, dude. Like every time I see it, it's so heartbreaking. Like he just like because Gamora thinks she's won. Gamora thinks okay, Thanos can't win now because he loves nothing, and then he just turns around and he's crying, and she's like, huh, tears. and then Red Skull's like, I love this moment where he's like, they're not for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
then and then you see that look on her face, and you see her go from smile to fear,
Yeah.
and then she's just like, this isn't love, and she fights
Ah.
for her life, and oh my god, it's such a
Yeah.
impactful moment. It's such good filmmaking.
Yeah, and even
For
like
sure.
even as she tries, she pulls that double-sided blade out that we see him give to her as a
Oh,
kid.
God.
And I mean, literally up until the end, like these characters will kill themselves just so he can't get the stones. You know, that's incredible. That's just
Yeah.
wow. And of course, she goes to stab and just turns the knife to bubbles, and it's like, oh my god, you know, just like I can't. Yeah, I get like that because it was the first thing I would have done. Is like kill yourself. You know, kill you like you're gonna die anyways. Just go ahead and kill yourself now so he doesn't get the chance. And I mean, she's quick too. She totally goes for that like that Japanese seppuku thing, and he just
Yeah.
oh my god, stops it so fast. Like he knows even before she knows. It's like, oh my god, that's just incredible.
One of the smaller things
sure.
in this film, which it deserves a lot of credit, which I didn't notice until multiple screenings of the film, is the way they set up small things. Like, for example, that double-bladed knife. We first see it; it's him giving it to her as a gift as a child. She brings it up later, and then they finally bring it back there. But like, even other small things, like for example, the way Star-Lord holds down Thanos' arm with that electric trap, he uses it earlier with his fight with Iron Man, and things like that. So like they'll introduce something earlier on, and then they'll have
And
a
Guardians
stronger
1.
use later on as well. Oh yeah, and like it was in the Guardians 2, and speaking of Guardians 2, I loved how the reference with Thor, the way he puts his eye back in, that eye I'm pretty sure Rocket got in Volume 2 of Guardians, which I think was great.
See, I can't remember that. I'm
It's such a
really
small
trying to rack
minor
my
part.
brain.
And it may not even be the same eye, but like he steals someone's eye in that, and it's a callback to when he steals that leg in the first one.
But did we haven't touched on Doctor Strange. We haven't touched on Iron Man.
We haven't
Let's
touched
talk
on
about
Spider-Man,
their.
so let's talk about all three.
We haven't. Actually, you know what? We can talk about that New York sequence, because that's got all three of them there.
Love it.
But yeah, man, I love. Oh god damn it! I love Spidey's intro. Colin, you had some great thoughts about Spidey
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
the bus.
Yeah, I think him being on the bus, you know, and before I get into this, that Stan Lee cameo is so good, you know. Haven't any of you kids ever seen a spaceship before? But I love that you know, this is not something that you know, he's not contacted for this. He's not asked to come and join. You know, it's not something that was preordained or pre-planned. You know, this is what the textbook definition of a hero is. We have somebody who sees trouble and just knows inherently that they have to get involved. Even if
And
there
he
are
gives
20
that amazing quote when Tony tells him to go away, and he goes, "You can't be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man if there is no neighborhood," which I fucking
Perfect,
love.
dude,
It's like
yeah.
that's them doing the character right.
Right, absolutely.
See, Colin, I didn't even think about any of that until you mentioned that the other day, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit, you're right, man. This guy, he didn't need an invitation. He didn't need anything. He just sprung right into action." He asked, I forgot his friend's name, and his friend, he's like, "I need a distraction." Oh my god, we're gonna die!
That's so great. But yeah, he's definitely what a hero is. You know, he just drops what he's doing. Yeah, I'm just a kid on a field trip. You know, and it goes from being a kid on a field trip to, you know, being, and of course we get the Iron Spider suit, you know, which is great and all of that. I think that's fantastic. And especially the scene, which I mean, you had to tell me about because I haven't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming, where he's always, "Hey, am I Avenger now? Hey, am I Avenger now?" And then Tony finally tells him in this, "Hey, kid, congratulations, you're an Avenger." I was like, "Oh my god,
It's brilliant."
that's
God,
so
the way
good.
they push in on his face, man, like him just smiling and the music, the way it flares up, and is just like, yes, I'm finally an Avenger. Matt, you had some great thoughts on the way the Iron Spider suit is used in this,
Well,
like off the back of Captain America.
Yeah.
I love what you thought about that.
Well, I think this is what you're referring to. Well, first of all, two comments about the suit. Like the first one, just when we first see him in the original suit in New York, that's the best Spider-Man's ever looked, I think. In Civil War, it kind of looked all CGI. I don't know if it was an actual person in a suit most of the time. In Homecoming, it looked a little better, but when you first see Spider-Man in his classic suit fighting in New York, that's the best we've ever seen Spider-Man in the MCU. And I was so happy to see him like that. I'm like, yes, this is my Spider-Man. But then what I especially loved was one of my concerns going into the film was looking at the trailer. We saw him in two different Spider-Man outfits, which looked like they were both taking place in the same New York fight. And I was like, how are they going to justify this costume? Like, is it just going to be like, are they just finding a random excuse so they could sell more toys or whatever? But what I loved is the way they justify the suit, because he turned it down in the previous film. Which was a whole part of his character arc. Him walking away from that was like such a big moment. So how are they going to justify the Iron Spider suit? And they did it really well. He's on a spaceship. It's going to space. He's losing his breath. He can't breathe. And the Iron Spider suit is there to protect him, to save him so he can breathe in space, which is such a great story way. It's a good way to bring it into the plot as well as introducing this new suit. And I thought that was really impressive. Was that what you wanted me to talk about?
Sure. No, that's you.
What's the point I made? I make so many points.
That's exactly what I wanted you to talk about. Because I love the way they integrated because at the end of Civil War, he declines the offer from Stark. He's like, I don't really want this suit. That's all good. Don't worry about it. And I love that they, out of necessity, made him have this suit in this movie. It's so good.
Yeah, unless a studio won't point fingers, would have been like, oh, he just got it because it looks cool or something, you know.
I'm pointing fingers. Fuck you, DC. But no, I love. Oh god, it's so fucking thrilling as well when Tony's like, he's like, give me A14, and like you just said, come out of the base, and like it just flies up to him. Oh, it's so good.
Actually, let me touch on that really quick. This is not a complaint. This is just an observation. Maybe they were meant to take this out in the script, but they forgot or something. I don't know. But the suit he calls is A17. And
no.
And here's the thing: when Black Panther asks to bring down a part of the shield in the fight of Naboo, and I'm calling it that because it looks like the fight out of the War of Star Wars Episode 1. No, except a lot cooler. But when he asks to bring down a part of the shield, I can't tell if he says Section 17 or 17A, but I'm pretty sure he's saying the same thing that Iron Man said. But that's just a small thing, and I'll need the subtitles to be sure. But
I will never stop looking at this. I will never stop looking at this as the Battle of Naboo now. You've ruined this for me hard.
It's got the force fields. It's in a grassy area.
I mean, you are totally right there. That's why I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't catch that.
Didn't you guys? Come on, man! Didn't you see Jar Jar doing his little hijinks in the background?
Oh, that was Jar Jar. Oh, that's right.
Random crazy shit. Mr. Jar Jar Binks. Such a terrible character.
Fuck that cunt.
I love it.
Jar Jar Binks is Snoke. No, I'm just kidding.
So Spider-Man was amazing. In fact, like his death is probably the thing that got me the most teary-eyed. The way he's just saying
absolutely.
like, I don't want to go, please, Mr. Stark. It's like, oh my god.
I'd like to talk about that.
That's such a
some
kid.
News coming about that.
That's like he's so young, and it just it gets to you, bro.
Yeah, there's news coming out now as well. I'm totally on the ball with this, but yeah, Joe Russo spoke to the University of Iowa as part of like a surprise Q&A or something, and he pretty much said that was all Tom Holland. Like that was improvised. That whole that whole
my
moment.
God.
So
the way
what a treasure, what a fucking treasure that kid is.
Dude, the way it turns to him, you know, and you see all these people disappearing, and you know, don't get me wrong, like at me, like I started seeing all these people disappearing, and I was like, okay, well, you know, they'll bring them back somehow, whatever, you know, this is just some movie bullshit. But dude, when Tom Holland turns around, he's like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. I was like, oh no, kid, don't you fucking die on me, dude. Like the whole theater, I heard people just when he started dying, because that's heart wrenching. Because again, that's a fucking hero, man. This kid didn't have to be there. This kid is there. Nobody asked him to be there. No one asked you to stick your nose into this. But without you, you know, they wouldn't have even gotten as close as they did, and you die because of that. Like that's a fucking hero, man. That really is.
And Yeah, and I love the whole. I love that he calls him Mr. Stark. Oh, he's just like it. Just adds to the you're still a kid.
You know what he reminds me of is very Marty McFly from Back to the Future. Like I think if they remade Back to the Future, I would love to see Tom Holland play him. I really would.
I'm not saying they should ever remake Back to the Future, but if they did, Tom Holland would do a good job.
I'd be down for that. But and like, hey, there's still Darth Vader references in this as well. Like he talks about Empire. So, like another guy. Okay, we got to talk about Doctor Strange.
Let's do it,
dude. This guy fucking is awesome in this movie,
it's
man.
Great.
Benedict.
It's great just to see the Sorcerer Supreme be a supreme sorcerer in this film. None of like in the previous film he had to learn, he had to be that. In this, he's the character, and they do it so well. He's a master.
Have you seen Doctor Strange, Colin?
Nope.
I would say it's one of the better origin films.
It is great. It's definitely great. But yeah, like Matt said, it definitely is an origin film. So he's not really all powerful in that movie. He's still learning. Sure. But dude, like the shit, like there's a moment where he had like a showdown with Thanos in this, and it was just him and Thanos, and like when he multiplied himself, and like it was just
it looks straight out of Dragon Ball Z. It's so Dragon Ball Z. I fucking love it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, not even that, man. Benedict just brings so much to this role. The scene where he dies and his last words were, "This was the only way." I totally believe him. I totally believe that he had to save Stark in order for his one timeline to become successful. But like, even like just like before that, when he's arguing with Stark, man, like he's just like, what's he say? He's like, "Protecting your reality, douchebag."
Yes.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love how they did the dynamic between Iron Man and Doctor Strange, because they do have very, very similar personalities and facial hair. And I was really interested to see how these two characters would interact, because I feel like Marvel really want us, they're really trying to prepare us to be like, eventually Iron Man's going to go, but this guy, he's the new Iron Man. I feel like that's what they want us to think, and I don't think it's ever going to be that way, because I don't know. I do think he's a little less charming, and I don't love his accent, but I'm sure most people disagree with me. But like, I still love the character, and Benedict does do a great job.
I don't love his accent either, but that's only because I know Benedict is British.
I think that I think that's why I am too. But I love seeing them clash with each other, and they both came from their arguments both came from logical places that are true to their characters. Yeah, and I love that.
And like, I think that also speaks to another thing about this movie that's done really well: the pairings and like all the coupling, like the groups that everyone is with together. It just feels really natural, the way everyone's sort of like paired off together and things like that.
Another good pairing was Thor and Rocket, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, no, we'll get into that. But, dude, any chance I get to say this line, like, I know I'm not even, like, organically bringing it up. Earth is closed today.
So pack it up.
I love the way he says it. It's just like, Earth is closed. He's just like mid-sentence. Earth is closed today. And he just calls it Squidward. Oh, he's like, yeah, we haven't talked about Stark yet, man. Stark is great in this movie.
He really is. It's a definitive Stark, it feels like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just his outfit in this film is fucking cool. The way that it's nanotech now, and the way he sort of trades tech from one side to another. Like later when he fights Thanos, he's willing to let his leg be unprotected, so it could build like, I think it was like a sword or a gun or something on his other hand, and how it takes some weight from one part of the suit so it could trade it somewhere else. That was just fucking cool.
And I really enjoyed that. Like I remember I used to love the suits back in the day, and like I used to be like, oh, I wonder what he's gonna get in the next film. But then like eventually I just kind of like stopped caring about it, because they stopped caring about it. They didn't really make too much of a big deal about it. But it's not until this, man, that I like kind of got excited again. I was like, holy shit, this suit's awesome. Like when the first time you see it and it wraps around him, he takes off the glasses. Holy shit.
Yeah, it feels almost like very Terminator 2, like T-1000, like that liquid kind of metal. And dude, when he's fighting Thanos, just to comment on that scene real quick, you know, you're talking about just the shifting of the gear to, you know, what a great fighting style. and just adaptive. And I don't need a foot right now. I need a gun. And it's like when he's fighting him, and I think Thanos either throws a punch or does something, but Tony catches it, and just the helmet is like open, and you can see Robert Downey Jr.'s face. I love that shit. It's one of the few things that I absolutely love about Batman versus Superman is when he's got the helmet and it's cracked open, like the battle torn kind of thing. Nerd boner every time. Nerd boner.
But like looking. Oh no, I was just gonna say, looking I love that you see under his face, like you can see him like getting worried. He's like, "Fuck, I'm losing control. I'm like losing control in this fight. I don't have control."
Mm-hmm.
It's the most versatile Iron Man we've seen because he has all this new tech. Like he has flying guns at one point. He has a sword. The first time he does anything, he pulls up a shield, which is very Captain America-esque against what's his name, Ebony.
Ebony Moore.
Yeah, Ebony Moore. And like I was like, I thought, okay, at least someone's got a big shield in this film. But I thought that was really cool. But in addition, just his suit, just his the shit that he just says and does, like the way he talks, the way his relationship with Peter Parker, and oh dude, like that fucking scene where their little pairing meet with the Guardians, and we get Star-Lord versus Iron Man. Woo, dude!
Yeah,
I was
awesome.
so excited, man. That was me with my popcorn with a big smile on my face, and then we get that cool Mexican standoff scene. Oh, so great.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like something straight out of Tarantino.
Yeah, I think that's where actually we get the "Who's going? I'll do you one better." Why Gamora? That's where you get that line. That's so good. And only
So
like
funny.
the meeting of those two would have correspond just absolutely great quotes and one-liners out galore.
Yeah, it was a great justification on like getting the heroes to fight. A big staple in comic books, especially in Marvel, is finding excuses for the heroes to fight each other when they should be on the same team. And yeah, it's Thanos' ship. Of course they're going to attack. They know Thanos' members, like other teams, that they don't know who's on what. And then you get that little confused moment when they're got guns at each other and they're just talking it out like, no, I don't work with Thanos. Like, what?
I like. What master do you serve? What master do I serve? What am I supposed to say? Jesus?
So you're from Earth.
Yeah. No. He's like, where are you from? Missouri.
Yeah, that's on
That's
Earth.
on Earth. Dipshit.
Dude, I love that because him saying from Missouri just sounds so out of context with like Titan
What's
and
happening?
Wakanda, and just so much stuff. It's so. Oh yeah, I forgot Missouri's a state in this intergalactic drama.
Yeah, there's all these like alien names. Like you got Tatooine, you got Titan, you've got Missouri, you've got Earth, you've got Tennessee. You can interchange a lot of these state names with
You
Earth
need to
places.
stop bringing up the fucking Battle of Naboo bullshit. All right, shall we, guys? One thing that I thought got a bit shortchanged in this movie was Wakanda and Black Panther, but like the sequences that we did get there were fucking awesome. Black Panther as well. I love that he finally said "Wakanda Forever" as a fucking battle cry. Like,
Does
that
he
was
not
fucking
say that
awesome.
in Black Panther?
I don't think so, dude. I don't think so. I think it's I think it's Okoye or Nakia. I don't think
think
it's
you might be
actually
right.
him that says it. Yeah. So it was like really awesome when he's like Wakanda forever, and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, it's so badass. And I'm glad that even Shuri got a moment. Like she has like 2 seconds of fighting, but at least she got a little time to shine. But like people who also got the shorthand, like maybe not as much as Black Panther, but the Cap pairing, Cap, Falcon, and Black Widow. Black Widow maybe says like 5 sentences in this film. Like, I feel like I guess I understand those characters didn't really have much to do other than fight at the end, and gather vision and stuff. But that was a big surprise. I think everybody, especially after Civil War, were expecting Cap to play a big part in this film. Oh, sorry, and Bucky too. But yeah, it makes sense why they didn't have a big part. But I found that kind of surprising. No, what do you guys reckon?
Yeah, man. No,
go
go,
ahead.
Colin. Go.
No, you go right ahead.
Well, I was a little, because Cap is my favorite. Cap is my favorite like character in the MCU, and his entry is also one of the biggest like sort of applause moments. Everyone seems to just I loved it, man. Everyone just clapped.
Oh, with the coming out of the shadows and stuff.
Yeah, because we also get the music back again. It's like oh, it's just like his score from the first Avengers. I love it so much. I'm gonna, you know what? It's going in our fucking final episode. I'm putting it at the start of this episode. I don't care about copyright. Fuck you. But like, but yeah, man. Like, seriously, I wasn't disappointed with the lack of Cap. I think it's just like I was disappointed by a little bit. Like he didn't have a lot to do, if that makes sense.
He did have though that where was it when I think they were in Scotland. That was a really cool fight scene they got. It was a bit short, but it was really cool with Falcon and Black Widow. I did really like that. But yeah, I felt like it was a little short. I wish he had a bit more to do, but I just know because in the next film he's probably going to get his Cap shield back. I'm hoping, and insert cool shit here. I'm sure cool shit's going to happen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
If I can jump in on this, the one thing, because I commented on this on the LSG Media page. I think it was actually on your review, Zoheb, that you posted up there. It might have been somewhere else. I'm not sure, but basically,
dude, that review got like 120 comments. I couldn't keep up with any of it.
Oh, dude, yeah, it just gets to a point where it's like, dude, there's conversations within conversations, but yeah. I think somebody pointed out the fact that Cap only has like 2 lines, and I was like, dude, I'm fine with that because I actually didn't know. You said the Russo brothers did Civil War.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I didn't know that they did Civil War, and that was fantastic. When I saw Civil War, it kind of reignited. It's probably the only reason that I went and actually saw Winter Soldier, and then saw this movie, and now I want to go back and start watching Guardians and Thor and stuff like that because I've got some time to do it now. But I think that, I think it's fine that Cap only has like 2 lines because Civil War felt so much like an Avengers movie, and it did have a lot of Black Widow. It had a lot of Falcon. It had a lot of Cap, and a lot of a lot of Hawkeye, a lot of Ant-Man. Not as much as obviously the 3 with Widow, Falcon, and Cap. But I thought that it wasn't really necessary because we don't know what Steve Rogers has been doing since he's basically retired as captain. He's not. I was waiting for someone to call him Cap and him be like, "Don't call me captain." Like I was really waiting for that moment.
Call me Nomad.
Right, or just call me. But we do kind of have that moment. He's like, "I am Groot." He's like Steve Rogers, and he just kind of waves at him.
Yeah,
so good. But I think. No, I was just going to say I just don't think it's necessary to have Captain America be one of the centerpieces of this when we had a movie that was so big on his end that it felt like an Avengers movie, and especially with keep him mysterious, keep him in the shadows, because now I'm way more curious to see what he's been doing. Like, how did that wicked beard come about? Like, what have you been going through and what have you been thinking about? How have your philosophies changed as Captain America now? After the Accords and everything, and I think it's great that they do keep, because it's very telling. The first shot of him is him walking out of the shadows, and he's in all black and has that beard. Keep him dark, keep him mysterious, because it works really well. I think
as something we should applaud the Russos for is the amount of restraint it must have been to hold back in those characters. Because when you think about it, like most studios, again, Marvel isn't most studios, but most studios would have been like, no, this guy's really popular, so we need to see more of him. I don't want to bring up Batman v Superman, but like that's exactly what they did with Ben Affleck. They were like, we know, like part of their research, like we want to see more Batman, we want to see more Ben Affleck, and I think it would have been very easy to be like, people like Captain America, let's show more of him, but they knew what their story was and they stuck to their guns, which I think is really great. Like most people, like most studios would say, why are you spending so much time on Vision and Scarlet Witch? Like, they don't have their own solo movies. Why are you spending all this time with them? They're pretty much the fucking heart of this movie at some points, and we really got to get into that. But I actually have to applaud them for resisting that temptation to go into those characters. Like, even Black Widow, like, there's people getting a lot of demand for her to have a solo film. You might have expected to see more. But like they had restraint because they wanted to stay true to what they thought was the most important for the story to be told, and I'm actually really impressed with that. And you mentioned before about the Accords. Well, I noticed this earlier. If you look at where everyone's set up, right? Like the Avengers, yeah, they broke up like a band, like the Beatles, which I love that line. When you think about it, like where everyone's split up, if you look at the roster, they're not all mostly split up. Like one thing that we don't know what happened is somehow Vision and Scarlet Witch got some deal with Steve Rogers and all that they will be together, but will come check in every couple of weeks or so.
See, but that's all we need. Like, we don't need to go any further than that.
But most of them still seem to be in contact. It's just the big one is Cap and Iron Man not talking anymore. But I love how when we first meet War Machine, he's like, you see him, he's like having regrets about Sokovia Accords, and you sort of see where you get an idea of where he is now as opposed to the last film.
Yeah, which is crazy. They gave some weight to War Machine. Like, what the fuck?
But, like, it's interesting. Like, yeah, he still works for the government because his allegiance has always been like that. Like, that was a big part of Iron Man 3 and 2 even. Like, so he's still really true to his character, but you're starting to see him now. He's coming over to Cap's side. And I love it how he's like, arrest him. He's like, yeah, sure. And he just swipes him off. And he's like, he's like, oh, what do you say? He says, I'm supposed to arrest you.
That's a court-martial.
Oh, that's a court-martial. And then he just smiles and gives him a hug. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, I was worried. It's like, shit, are they going to fight War Machine now? Like, he's got a brace around his leg.
Dude, War Machine kicks ass, though. Like, in his fucking suit. Dude, like, in Wakanda. Holy
there's
shit.
There's so many moments where I was like, how many guns is in that fucking suit? Yeah. Like, he just did. It was so great.
When he drops his napalm, that fucking scene, like that's a real explosion. It's not CGI. That is a real fucking lit up, like, actual explosion. You can tell as well.
That's fantastic. I'm always a fan of practical over digital, and I just just especially in a movie like this where it's so much digital stuff. It's really cool to see that there actually might be some kind of actual physical.
It looks so beautiful. It looked like Apocalypse Now, like, you know, when they fucking napalm.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to move this along real quick. Let's talk about Thor. Thor he had a huge part in this film, and I wasn't expecting that. But what I did like about his character was with Ragnarok, they took such a completely different tone with the character, and I was thinking how they're going to do that with this, because I think Chris Hemsworth in general wants to work with more comedy. And I liked how they sort of balanced it between like what we've sort of seen with Thor in the past with this more comedic one, but he was very dark in this film. He reflected a lot in the last of his 3 films, talking about the deaths of pretty much all of his loved ones, his family. He's got nothing left. Kind of like how Star-Lord is, how you mentioned that earlier. But yeah, what do you guys think of Thor in this film and his storyline?
Colin, you can talk about him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought he was great. I've never been a really big Thor fan. I've always just kind of been meh about him. But this movie definitely makes me more interested to see what that character arc is like, because he's a prince. He seems kind of pampered in a way, like in the first Thor, from what I've seen from that. Like when he first gets to Earth, oh God, this is Earth. And you can tell he's kind of like, I don't belong here. I'm
definitely watch Ragnarok, because if you didn't like Thor in the first 2, it's probably a big chance that you'll like him in Ragnarok.
Right, and I really want to see Ragnarok, especially for Hulk, and I think a lot of that is based off of Planet Hulk and like World War Hulk and stuff, which is a really good comic book. But Thor was great, especially with because I thought Thor was going to die, especially with that first scene, like you were talking about, Matt, and then later on when he's just kind of it seems like it's setting up for him to he talks about his mom, his sister, his brother, his father, all of them being dead. And missing the eye, his hair's been cut. It kind of reminds me of the biblical story of Samson, who basically got his hair cut and kind of like lost his strength. I don't know if you guys are especially being in the South, we're real familiar with the Bible.
No. My last name is Ali.
But yeah, it's a famous story in the Bible of Samson, who was like basically like Hercules, and his strength was in his hair. And when he cut his hair, he kind of lost all of his strength. So I kind of like, and that may be getting like a little bit too meta or anything, but I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, like I can kind of see that. But yeah, I really thought, because like what you guys said with Star-Lord, not really having anybody. I mean, Thor literally states that straight out. I think somebody says like, what happens if you're wrong? And he's like, I mean, what do I have left to lose? He's like, I don't have anything left to lose. And I think that's great, and it was definitely a curveball, because not only am I expecting him to die, but not only does he not die, but he comes back, in full, like, I mean God, he gets
the
eye
glory
back.
shot.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets the eye back. Dude, it's so good. And that was another one where people verbally, just started, shouting and clapping. And, not only does he not die, but he comes back and he's got the, oh God, what is the name? Well, yeah, the cape.
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, thank you. And, he's got the cape, he's got the eye, he's got the weapon back, and he looks very, like, ultimate, like kind of like the ultimate Thor, where he's got,
it's like Super Saiyan in that.
Right, exactly, and especially I don't want to pass by this part either. But with Groot, it's like the one moment with Groot where he picks up the hammerhead and cuts his arm off to make the handle from it. And I mean, if that's not teamwork, I don't know what the fuck is, man. Like, that's so good.
Actually, bring up Groot's a good point, because like while Groot seems to be the character that does the least in this film. And which has surprised me, because Groot's such a fan favorite. He has an arc. It's a very small one, but he goes from being very uninterested, always in his game, doesn't care about anybody, and then he finally sees a chance where he can make a difference, because Thor's dying and needs, for some reason, Stormbreaker heals him for some reason, gives him a cape, but whatever, And Peter Dinklage's character can't find the handle, so he sacrifices, his arm. Sure, it'll grow back, but like Groot goes through pain. He makes a sacrifice. So even he sort of has a redemption process, which is super small, but it's pretty crazy to see that they even did that with that character.
Yeah, man.
Which is pretty impressive.
I love the hell. Okay, so with movies like this, man, I love music cues. And the way the music just builds up in this moment with Groot, and as soon as so it's building up, and then as soon as like Groot cuts it, and like the axe like lands on the metal, it just like the music just cuts out, and it's like fucking impactful. Oh God, I love it. And then, like you said, Colin, when Thor comes to Wakanda, we get that amazing score again. It's like da 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 da, like the actual like the triumphant like Avengers score. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fuck, I love it, because they didn't use that in Age of Ultron, I don't think. And that's one of the things that I really missed from the first Avengers, was that Alan Silvestri score, that really good one. Which, by the way, I said this like the last time we tried to record this podcast, Colin. Like when I worked at the movies in 2012, Avengers was obviously on, and we'd have to clean through the credits and stuff, and I was like loving the music, because that was the credits music, and I was just like, God damn it, I love working here.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's
so great.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, so Thor, I gotta say this though, again, super minor gripe, super minor. I do feel like the Thor journey scene, storyline, if anything dragged, it was that, but not for too much. It did get, because at the end of the day, it was just him traveling to get a new hammer and stuff, but they did do interesting things along the way. I thought it was cool how they met Peter Dinklage, and his character had something to do. Wasn't super exciting, but it was something. I did remember thinking on my first watching, it's like, why they keep cutting away from a fight with Thanos and a fight with Thanos' army to Thor making a hammer. Like, it seemed very anticlimactic, and then I didn't make sense to me until they arrived. Like, oh, they're building up to this fucking amazing moment. Yeah. And now watching it, it's like watching back those scenes where they're intercutting between the fighting and like Thor trying to make that hammer. It gets me more G'd up and more excited, because I'm like, oh shit, they ain't ready. When he comes with Stormbreaker, y'all fucked. Actually, it's what Mark Ruffalo says. Like, you guys are all screwed now. Like, that was. That was
I
great.
think I do agree. I think the scene on particularly the scenes on Never Delay, I think is what it's called. It did go for a little bit long because it was just like I think there was like 2 issues in a row. Like they had to get the star reawakened, and then like when the star reawakened, like Thor had to actually like physically sacrifice himself, and like I think there was just like. It was too much. Like there was just too many problems there, and like they kept on like, oh no, something else is wrong now. And I was like, oh okay. But yeah, like you said, man, it built up to a hell of a sequence, and like it was awesome, man. It was awesome to see Rocket and Thor work together to restart the dead star.
They had good chemistry, those two.
Yeah, like every time Rocket called him, he called Rocket Rabbit. It was awesome.
Yeah.
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 Look, I just mentioned Mark Ruffalo, and I want to make a quick, brief mention of this before I forget. Another super minor gripe with this film, and again, I don't think it's that
Matt,
big of a
I think
deal
you hate this film.
No. When you watch a film this many times, you get passionate, and that's when you can find these things. This comes from a place of love because to me this is I don't think any film this year is going to make me more excited than this. Maybe even next year, who knows? But I was a little bit bummed with Bruce Banner's story arc with this. Like I was expecting to see Hulk near the end, and I understand maybe they're not doing that so we could see a big moment with him in the next film, but they kept bringing up this problem of how he can't bring out the Hulk. And maybe this is referencing stuff that happened in Ragnarok, which was sort of established. But, like, I feel like it was cool to see Bruce Banner beat an enemy without the Hulk. That was kind of cool. But it did left a bit to be desired. Did you guys feel the same? Like, did you feel like we were missing something by him?
Well,
he keeps mentioning this problem, but the problem never gets solved.
I think Colin explained it best last time we recorded this, right? Like it's like an erectile dysfunction thing.
Yeah, right. It seems it definitely seems like a can't get it up kind of like symbolic thing because and definitely is because I haven't seen Ragnarok. This was the first time that I've seen Hulk with kind of when he hulks out at the very beginning. You see the gray in his hair, and I don't know if it's just Hulk getting older. I like that Hulk gets older with Bruce Banner. It's not just like, oh, I am just this entity that you'll be 80 and I'll still be, just this huge, massive Hulk. I like that the Hulk kind of has to adhere to what physical shape like Banner's in. And I think that obviously as he's getting older, and Mark Ruffalo even said, because they've talked about doing a Hulk solo film, and he was sitting there with Don Cheadle, I think at the premiere of, it might have been Civil War, and he was like, dude, it's never going to happen. He's like, they're never going to do a solo Hulk movie with me now. He's like, it's been too long. He's like, honestly, I'm getting too old to do it. He's like, I don't even know if I'd want to do it at this point because... especially after Ultron and the first Avengers and then Ragnarok now. And I really and that sucks because I did hear that Mark Ruffalo was one of their first choices when they did the Incredible Hulk, and I think it was the director or somebody who. Might have been the director of photography, but they're like, dude, I do not want to work with Edward Norton. He is like notoriously difficult, and apparently the guy was right on the money. They really wanted Mark Ruffalo, but for some odd reason, just I don't know if it was the studio making them go with Edward Norton. And I love Edward Norton too, but Mark Ruffalo just brings so much more to the character, especially with you have this Hulk who's just this force of nature, and then there's Mark Ruffalo who's just sweet and kind, and he's almost hey, and he seems almost like he seems so distraught at points, like he's just him talking about like Thanos coming and stuff, like he seems so counter to what the Hulk is, and like part of me feels like I think one of you guys brought up, I can't pronounce Idris Elba's character's name correctly. I'm going to butcher this.
Heimdall?
Heimdall, yeah. I think one of you guys mentioned this before, that it could be an effect of the magic, that when he sends him to Earth, that it just could be an effect of the magic to why he can't Hulk out. Or, part of me also feels like, fighting with Thanos, I don't know if it's Hulk, just basically not being afraid. I don't think that Hulk is ever afraid to fight somebody, but there's got to be something more there, because there's that line with he's like, God, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, big guy.
Which makes me feel like it's an unresolved plot thing, which makes me feel a little disappointed. But I should mention, you did talk about Mark Ruffalo talk about a solo Hulk film. This might be known by some listeners, I'm not sure, but I feel like I should mention it. The reason we don't have another solo Hulk film is because Universal owned distribution rights and Disney isn't cool with that. And when they first brought Mark Ruffalo on, they said, look, if you could do a solo film, what story would you want to tell? And they sort of had a discussion. They said, okay, we're going to tell this story, but we're going to tell it over a space of, I think they said 3 films. So we sort of got, apparently, the beginning of that in Ultron. We got a little bit out in Ragnarok and this and probably the next one. So I think in Avengers 4, we are going to see some sort of closing bookend for the Hulks, maybe in some sort of thematic thing. And what I'm hoping for is, and this is a minor gripe I had with this film, but I'm pretty sure they're going to address this, is when Bruce Banner sees Nat, Black Widow, they only have like a small comment and then they never interact again, which feels like, hang on, you spent an entire Age of Ultron movie building up this relationship, and now when they're finally together again, you're just going to pretty much ignore it for a whole film. And so what I'm hoping for in maybe Avengers 4, maybe he becomes the Hulk again, but Black Widow has something to do with it. Like, maybe she has that whole, what was it, sun setting low big guy or whatever what she was saying.
Sun's getting real low.
Yeah, that's it. So hopefully there's some sort of payoff there and we see something to do with their relationship, because I felt like that was missing in this film. But again, I don't hold it against it because I'm thinking this film is a 2-parter, and I'm hoping that pays off in the sequel.
Yeah, for sure, man. But look, I think we've kind of covered everything that we've really needed to cover. Let's talk about the ending, man. The way this movie is such a, like I said, a crowd pleaser. But the way it ends, I personally love the way it ends because I love a good fucking dark story, like the ending of Empire Strikes Back. I love the whole sort of like all hope is lost kind of thing. But yeah, what did you guys think of this ending, dude? It's fucking haunting.
First, Colin.
No, I was actually going to say, Matt, you go first.
Well, I was going to say, the way they build into it is really epic. Before they start killing everybody off with this cool dust effect erasing from existence. I love how they've built the whole film up with Vision and Wanda's like relationship. And throughout the whole film, there's been a theme of loved ones having to sacrifice one another. Like Thanos had to, and I'm sure this is again we're gonna learn more about this as it goes on. But I loved how Thanos had to sacrifice Gamora. Star-Lord had to shoot Gamora. Cap had the whole thing about we don't trade lives. Wanda had to kill Vision. Even Loki, he sacrificed himself to try and save Thor. And I love all these. Almost every character's freaking relationships with each other sort of based around like a sacrifice. And I loved how they were so desperate and so emotional with Elizabeth Olsen there. She's like pretty much on the verge of tears as she's killing Vision, and she succeeds. But then that hopelessness sets in where Thanos reverses time, brings him back from the dead just so he could kill him again. And then you finally, after the whole film of Thor trying to get Stormbreaker, he gets it and you just hear, "You should have aimed for the head." Oh. And he just clicks his fingers. Fuck! That's how you do a loss. Like, that was such a good way to do it, man. It was so emotional, and it was a roller coaster of emotions, and it was so effective.
I really love when Thanos snaps and we get that cut of the gauntlet just totally fucked up. Like there's like these things should not be harnessed together. Like it's almost a telling sign. Like, dude, like the damage that it's taken. I mean, not only on Thanos, with having to sacrifice Gamora, he's lost the Black Order, and he's got that brutal cut to the stomach. And just the toll it's taken on the gauntlet, which has been, the prized possession the whole time. it's really crazy to see him, especially I love the line, what are you going to do when you're done with all this? I will sit back and watch the sunset on a perfect universe. And it's like, oh my God. And that's absolutely the last scene that we get. And it's so like, I honestly forgot that it was going to be a 2-part film until right about the very end when everybody started turning into like that Terminator 2 ash, just like getting faded away.
And the way how like they just dropped all the music and just let it be quiet for those deaths, it just made it hit you so much harder. And you know, we have scenes of like, like Black Panther's like, this is no place to die, and then he dies. It's like fuck. And you got like, you got Rhodey looking for Sam, and like, yeah, it's that way. And then he disappears, and you got like, everyone is losing somebody. And it's just heart crushing, dude. It's so
and there's like no music, right? Like it's just like thunder. It sounds like thunder. Like it's just like literally like, it's fucking great. And you see that it's not only Earth, it's like Titan as well. It's pretty much the whole entire universe.
And you're watching it, and I'm just thinking, fuck. There are kids in this theater who are not gonna sleep tonight. They're gonna have nightmares of the boogeyman. Sorry. Thanos in their closet, clicking his fingers so they just disappear. It's so fucking scary. And that's what it is. It's like, it's not scary in the sense of like, oh, like Jason Voorhees is coming to get me. There's nothing you can do. It's happening.
Right. And it's not personal. It's not personal. It's like, dude, this is and I love that he's like, it's perfect, it's balanced, it killed the rich and the poor alike. It's fair. And I feel like there is this duality, almost like this Harvey Dent Two-Face duality to Thanos, because so much of everything is just about balance. Yin and yang, white and black. Rain and sunshine and sunny days. Like there's so much of a balance to him that it definitely felt like not his character Two-Face, or not his behavior, but there was kind of like with their ideologies, it felt like there was definitely a kind of similarity there. I thought that was definitely worth noting.
I think what makes it so big is that we've never seen our heroes lose like this in a Marvel, not even just a Marvel film, just in big blockbuster films in general. Like when Star-Lord's like, did we just lose? You can see the confusion, and the biggest one for me, it's so small, but when Steve Rogers realizes what happens and he just goes, oh God, like you can hear the pain in his voice. Like they're not just scared. They're just broken. They're hopeless. Like they're just like, there's nothing we can do. And they're accepting defeat. Like you see them accept defeat in the moment, and it's insane.
Zoheb, what did you think?
Oh man, I love, like I said, man, I love this ending. I love the haunting vibe. It's just so like, people are I've seen people criticizing this because Marvel just want to make more money for the next movie, but you have to be kidding me. You did not sit there during this movie and there was like, at no point were you never going to go to the next Avengers. Like you, like, do you know what I mean? You were already on board for the next Avengers when you sat during this one. Whether you knew it was a 2-parter or a 1-parter or something like that, you were always going to go to the next Avengers because you were interested enough to come to this one. So you're always going to go to the next one. But like, yeah, dude, like all that aside, man, I fucking love this ending. Like it's just so. I love that it's Thanos winning. I love that it's like he's content. Like the last shot is his face, and he's just like smiling to himself. He's like, "I done fucking good." But like, we didn't also talk about that sequence. Like when he clicks his fingers, he goes to an entire whole different like little thing. I've seen rumors that actually might be inside the Soul Stone.
It's speculation, but it's got a lot of merit to it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely interesting, and like we also say that young Gamora asks him what did it cost, and he's like everything, and like you totally get like he's got this thing where he regrets doing it, but it needed to be done. And for me, man, that's what makes a great villain. Like someone who has remorse for what they're doing, but in their own mind they see it as a necessity. They need it. It's a certainty that it needs to be done.
All the best like hero villain relationships Marvel's done has had that sort of vibe of I love you, I don't want to fight you, but I have to. Like Thor versus Loki in the first Thor, it's like you could tell they don't want to fight, but they have to. Even like Nebula and Gamora fighting in the other two Guardians, it's like they just have this, or even Bucky and Captain America and the Winter Soldier. You know, they just have different sides of the fight, or even all of Civil War. You know, they don't like they're forced to fight because of their opposite ends, but they're still real people. You know, they still have motivations and goals, and it's just it's good writing because it makes a character 3-dimensional. They're not character, they're not caricature, they're not just a stereotype. They're believable characters.
For sure.
That makes it so great.
It's great. Matt and Colin, do you want to? We've talked about the ending. Do you want to just quickly touch on the end credit sequence, and then we'll jump into just a little quick speculation on how Avengers 4 is going to go, and then we'll sort of wrap it up from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. If you the only thing that I thought was, especially with the post credit scene, that's what you're talking about, right? The post credit scene with Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that because especially with his I can't remember what her name is. I just know it's Colby Smulders.
Maria Hill.
Maria Hill, thank you. But when she disappears, I just felt like, okay, she'll disappear, but Nick Fury will be fine. And he gets that thing out, and it starts disappearing right in the middle of sending this thing, and motherfucker, and then he just disappears. It's really
Jackson,
good.
Yes.
It's a real good like fan service moment, especially for Samuel L. Jackson fans who knows that he says motherfucker, and they cut off the fuck for. It's really good.
He is the motherfucker, But I love that.
It's a good setup for Captain Marvel.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's good to also show another environment where people are disappearing, so it's random.
And that it's fucking everywhere. It's not just heroes and shit.
Yeah. Also, like, this is a minor thing, and I was saying this in the car driving to the cinema, but I was like, one of the things I want to see in this film that like super minor, like in the terms of world building, is I was hoping we would see Maria Hill in this film. I just want to know where she's doing. Like, I don't need her to be a main character, but I like the fact that because you don't get this experience with other films because it's a shared universe. I love the idea of going, oh, this character can be buying groceries next to this character. I like seeing but the Avenger films are the only ones where you see Maria Hill, other than like one episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I was happy to see her there because it's like, okay, she's still working with Nick Fury, and like they're referencing the Wakanda stuff. So yeah, it was a nice little, again, universe building moment, which I liked.
For sure. Colin, unless you've got anything else to say about Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, Matt can hit us with some speculation.
That's what I was going to jump to, is some speculation, actually. So Matt, please, go right ahead.
Well, let's talk about the obvious shit before we get into anything crazy. I think we can all agree there's probably going to be a moment at some point in the next Avengers film where Doctor Strange... Oh, first of all, most of the people who died are coming back. Like, who turned to ash, they're just coming back. Like, I think it's interesting how, out of all the ones who survived, it's pretty much all the original Avengers plus War Machine, Rocket...
Sorry, while we're on that, I did want to touch on something that William Alvarez said in the Facebook post, because I did address it in the original recording. William said that pretty much everyone who disappeared was introduced after Civil War, which is not correct, dude. No, it's just straight up not correct. Because Scarlet Witch disappears. She was introduced in Age of Ultron. The Winter Soldier disappears. He was introduced in Winter Soldier. Who else? Guardians, all the Guardians.
All the Guardians except Rocket and Nebula.
Yeah.
Nebula's still alive.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where you got your records, my friend, but I don't know what they're smoking in California. Actually, you know what? I do know what they're smoking in California, and it's legal, you sons of bitches.
Well, I gotta say, in his defense, and I don't know the guy, so whatever, but I've seen a lot of reports online, like the first few days of it coming out, saying that one of the only survivors was Star-Lord. And I remember reading a few articles saying this, and I was like, first of all, fuck you, don't post spoilers 2 days after it comes out, which Forbes got in trouble for. They did an article, Forbes of all places did an article of just spoilers, and they got in shit for that, I think. But Star-Lord died, bro. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to assume most of the people who turned to Ash are coming back. Black Panther did too well at the box office to not get a sequel. And I heard Ryan Coogler's in negotiations for Black Panther 2. Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever it's called, I think starts production in a few months or sometime this year. And Doctor Strange is clearly being teed up to be like the next Iron Man or whatever. So he's definitely getting a sequel. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of these characters back. I think the ones who died, not Ash, are staying dead. Maybe for the exception of Gamora, we'll see. It might, I don't know, but we'll see about Gamora. But I think, yeah, the most obvious thing that's going to happen is I think Doctor Strange is going to come back from the dead at some point and be like, at the end, it's like, this is my plan all along. I told you that if I had to choose between protecting the stone and the universe or saving Tony or Spider-Man, I would pick the stone. He said he was in the end game. He saw one possible future, and he said this was the only way. So I think that's a pretty obvious, an obvious thing. I'm hoping we see Hulk come back, and I hope Black Widow has something to do with it. There's a lot of rumors and speculation about time travel. I'm on the fence about that. What about you guys? And I'm pretty sure Captain Marvel will play a massive part in beating Thanos. Maybe she even delivers the final blow. But I'm assuming that the next film's about passing the torch from the old generation to the new generation. I think maybe
I could see that for sure. Like I definitely think that obviously with that being the last thing they show with the Captain Marvel tease, it's pretty safe to say she's going to be a huge part in the next movie. But to what extent, like is it Doctor Strange just realizing that it takes his death and the death of all of these people to get someone's attention to call her? That could be we lose the battle, but we're going to win the war because we lost the battle. We were able to regroup, and they did definitely put some damage on Thanos, like nothing I don't think he can't recover from, but it has cost him everything. He is he is wounded. Like it's not like he came out of this unscathed, and I think that I think that time travel will have a big deal with it, especially after we've seen what the Infinity Gauntlet can do. And now that because the Infinity Gauntlet's like really broken and destroyed after he snaps, so I'm wondering if maybe another gauntlet will be built because with the whole with Peter Dinklage's character, they've got the mill or whatever it's called, back up and running again. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe like another Infinity Gauntlet being built because the first one just looks like it's just broken, and like fucked. But yeah, I think that'll definitely play a big role, and Iron Man's absolutely going to have to play a big role because there's. For whatever reason, Doctor Strange literally gives up the Time Stone just for Tony, and he's like, you have to live. He's like, you have to make it out of this for whatever reason. You have to be the one to do it, and especially you can tell that animosity between him. That's not something he would do out of like friendship. This is not like Loki giving up the Tesseract for Thor. This is out of necessity. I think so, but that's just that's really the only speculation that I had.
I'm wonder if Nebula and Tony get back to Earth via her spaceship, even though it looked like it crashed, or something else. Actually, I should mention this. My mate brought up a really hilarious potential plot hole, which I'm not seeing anyone talk about. When they're on the spaceship going to Titan, and like Doctor Strange is like, Tony, can you fly this? Go back. This is fucking Doctor Strange. He makes portals to other dimensions. Can he not make a portal to go back to Earth?
Yeah, that's a good point. Or just take the Time Stone and reverse, things. Like I think there's a lot of things like that, and like it's easy to I guess it's easy to do because it ends up being one of those things where it would end your movie. It's just a movie killer. It just stops the movie in its tracks.
100%. Z. Do you have any comments, thoughts, speculations, hopes for the future?
Yeah, I don't really buy into speculation much. I got you for that.
Lucky man. You're lucky.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like with speculation, I don't want to, especially lately, if I speculate, then I don't want to be disappointed for when the movie rolls around. Like, I don't want to set to set like massive goals that are unreachable. So I don't really buy into speculation much, and like to be honest, I haven't really thought about it that much. Just because I want to be wowed when I sit in the cinema. Like I've been taking that approach to movies lately. Which I know goes against everything as a podcaster, but like,
no, it's good to go in with a clean slate, though. Not expecting anything. It's good.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, like these days, all I watch is like the official trailers that are released, the long ones. I stay away from like set photos and things like that. And I just want to be wowed. Just give me the movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I get that.
yeah.
I'll close my thoughts on speculation with one last thing.
Yeah,
Not
sure.
a speculation, just a hope of something I think would be cool. You know me, I love my Ant-Man more than probably most people do. I want to see Giant Man.
Oh, thank
I want
God.
to see Giant Man fight Thanos, and
Okay.
if Hulk's involved, that'd be cool too.
I'm down for
like-
that. Because I was going to say, if
see-
you're going to talk about Hawkeye, I'm just going to fucking shut you down.
Well, Hawkeye, it's Jeremy Renner. They're going to do something with him. And we have seen set photos of him in a new costume, which excites me. But, like, I want to see Giant Man fight Thanos. I'm sure, like, the glove will stop him or some bullshit. But, like, that'll just be fucking cool. Like, the whole time we were in Wakanda, I was like, imagine seeing, like, a 65-foot tall dude just kicking these motherfuckers like a soccer ball. That'd be so awesome.
It's funny you say that because I saw a meme where it showed Ant-Man. It's like a comic book drawn meme, and it was Ant-Man, and he just jumps inside Thanos' ear, and he goes, "All right, time to save the universe," and turns into Giant Man and blows his head off. Like, it was a little comic meme that somebody did.
It's funny you say that because I just saw one where it was like when Thanos goes to click his fingers, but he can't because Ant-Man's like shrunk down between his fingers and like holding
Oh my
him up.
god,
That's
that would
cool.
actually be really fucking cool to see in a
Yeah.
movie, man. That would have been awesome because he's so strong even when he's small.
Yeah,
Like, wow,
exactly.
Unless it backfires and just squishes him like the ant is.
yeah, right.
But look, unless you guys have anything else, I think we'll just give our sort of like closing thoughts and shit like that.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Cool. Yeah, Matt, give us your closing thoughts. Are you going to see it again? And obviously, are you excited for Avengers 4, which you obviously are?
Nah, I think it's shit. I can't even say it with a straight face.
I was
can't
getting that
say it with a
vibe.
straight face. I'm too much of a fucking dork to hate it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna see it at least one more time. I have promised a friend I would see it with them, but that person hasn't seen the Guardians films, so I'm forcing them to watch the Guardians films because I just know this person would love them first, and then we're probably going to go next weekend or something. So I'll probably see it at least one or two more times in the cinema, which is a record for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking forward to the fourth one.
Badass. Colin.
Yeah, I thought this was a really great movie. It was not what I thought it was going to be. I knew that there was going to be some death and definitely a tearjerker, but not to the extent that I figured. Yeah, we'll stop Thanos, but we'll lose Iron Man, or we'll lose Captain, or we'll lose Bucky, or we'll lose Spider-Man, or we'll lose somebody, but we'll win. And it's like, no, not only did we lose way more people than I thought we would, but we didn't win shit. Like we didn't win anything. And I think that's I think that's great because it shatters your expectations of what you think a Marvel movie is going to be. It certainly shattered mine because it's always been one of my gripes with Disney movies and comic book films is that nobody stays dead and everybody's back. The next issue, which I mean, in the comic books alone, Falcon and Winter Soldier have both been Captain America at one point. So like I think there is definitely a setup to Doctor Strange taking over Iron Man, maybe Captain Marvel taking over for Captain, or Bucky or any of them taking over for Captain would be really interesting. But yeah, I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see Captain Marvel and see how that's going to play into this. Which I've seen some set photos of that. Which I think that's going to be set in the 90s. But I definitely do feel like if you bring in Captain Marvel, you're going to have to explain why the fuck she hasn't been here this whole time. Like there will be kind of a question of like, wait, if she's this ultimate galactic badass. Like, where has she been? You know, where has she been the whole time? Like, I know these are a lot of things that deal with like Earth matters, but at the same time, when a rift opens up over New York and there are Thanos and just this army pouring in, where the fuck were you? Because you are a human being. Like, you are from Earth. Like, where were you this whole time? So I think there's going to be some questions that need to be answered, but I'm sure they'll come up with something for that. But other than that, yeah, it was a great movie. I really enjoy it, and I'll probably pop in to see it again before it goes out of theater. But if not, seeing it once was definitely enough for me. But if I get time, I definitely want to see it again.
If I can just add one more thing to my final thoughts really quickly. Biggest thing about this film is I hope other films wanting to do superhero film... other studios who want to do franchises, such as, I don't know, the Dark Universe films by Universal, or I know this Transformers.
Those are dead and buried right now,
or whatever else. So if anyone else tries, or I know Sony, they have massive hard-on dicks for doing a Spider-Verse without Spider-Man or whatever. To all these studios out there wanting to do shared universes and copy Marvel's success, I hope they can look at this film and go, I hope their takeaway isn't it cool that they had all these franchises come together, which led to big box office numbers? Because if so, they're taking the wrong thing from it. I think what they need to understand is story comes first, relatable characters, and the best moments of this film, most of them are characters having to make a choice, and characters defined by choice. They put characters we love and relate to in difficult situations and have us watch them make a choice, and then let them say something funny while they kick someone's butt. That's all you really need. And a lot of, I think, studios who have attempted this in the past have come at it with the wrong intentions or the wrong motivators. And I hope they look at a film like this and see how well it all comes together and how meaningful it is. This film could have easily just been a CGI action fest, which it is, but it's also, the things everyone talks about isn't it cool how you punch them in the face? No, most people talking about the heart of this film and the great character moments. And I hope that any studio out there want to do a big blockbuster film or a franchise or a shared universe, look at this and learn from it, because Marvel right now is showing the way to do it. They're giving us the blueprints, and it's really inspiring, and I love that. So yeah,
I think that's a good note to close the podcast on. Well done, Matt. We might
you have
actually
closing thoughts, Zoe?
God damn,
that we haven't covered.
Forgot. Not really, man. This is a fucking great movie. Look, man, I'm like I said, I'm all on board with this movie. This is absolutely the crown jewel of Marvel's cinematic franchise. It's just such a great achievement. It's good to see 10 years of hard work has paid off. 10 years of the audience being invested in this massive universe, and like now we actually get to sit down and see the fruits of their labor. It's so fucking good. But look, man, I'm gonna keep my thoughts brief because it's just I still can't like put it into words how good this movie is, because it's just amazing. But yeah, look, definitely check this movie out. Matt, tell the good people where they can find you.
So my name's Matt Vella, and you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at VellaMatt. It's just my first and last name swapped around. I'm not very creative. If you want to check out, yeah, that's probably the main thing. And I just want everyone to know, I love talking about this shit, dude. So if you have any grievances, if you have any speculation and fan theories, if you need someone to like hold you in your arms and as you deal with this grief and death, I am here for you. I will be your personal therapist when it comes to Marvel films. So feel free to shoot me a DM at VellaMatt anytime.
Lean on me.
Collin,
I got you.
If you wanna let the good people know how to get in touch with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Always on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. We've also got midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Feel free to stop by. We love talking to anybody who's listening, whether it's from Tennessee or Australia, Sweden, Singapore, Belgium, we've got a lot of countries that are listening to us. I really want to hear back internationally on who's listening and what they think about it. And I think that's a big part of this podcast is just culture, and like especially with yours and both of yours, and then mine being so different. I'm really excited to hear what other people outside the U.S. are thinking about. But yeah, there's also the after party on Facebook. Everybody's invited. Everybody's always come to welcome and see where we post our memes and all of our funny stuff. And also we've got another episode that just came up. Really excited about Shaun of the Dead. We wanted to kind of put these out as like a 1-2 punch because there are some people that haven't seen Infinity War yet, and there's a good 20 minutes of this podcast you can listen to without it being ruined for you. But I strongly urge, if you don't want to even get close to it, stay away from it. Listen to Shaun of the Dead. It's probably I'll go and say it's probably my favorite podcast that we've done so far. It's just because I'm a huge Edgar Wright fan, and I really look forward to doing the rest of the Cornetto trilogy. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Rate and review us on iTunes and check us out and let us know what you guys think.
Yeah,
awesome, guys.
And I just want to say thank you again for having me on, guys. I've been on a couple now, so it looks like I might be a familiar face around here.
The contract's in the mail, buddy.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Right. The ink is still on the paper.
Jeez. Well, thanks for having me because I've really enjoyed this.
We'd love to have you, dude. It's been fun. But yeah, no, guys, look, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been fun. We loved the hell out of this movie, if you can't tell. Hopefully looking to cover something comic booky next. That's a little bit of a teaser for the next one. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us, and hopefully see you soon.